of the habitable volume of the International Space Station has been built in Italy as the logistics module that used to be loaded on the space station. As a man of institutions, on occasions of celebration like today, I feel the responsibility of these important legacies. I wonder today, we who have the honor of serving our countries, what can we imagine, build, and leave to those who will come after us, so that our work leads to results that will be celebrated in the future, as today we celebrate Apollo 11. The new challenge given by the Artemis program can represent the next phase of the special relation that the United States of America and Italy have in space, and in particular in human space exploration. For this reason, a month ago, in my appointment as Secretary of the COMINT, I sent a letter to Dr. Scott Pace, Secretary of the National Space Council, where the Italian government offered to the US government the mini habitat of the outpost, which I understand NASA calls Gateway, that will be assembled in cislunar orbit and that is needed to accomplish the 2024 goal. We propose to call that mini habitat with the Latin name Amicizia, to remark as Italy and the United States of America share the same values. Furthermore, as the United States of America and Italy, with the National Space Council and COMINT, have brought the theme of space to the highest levels of their respective governments, together we can imagine elements of strategic and economic cooperation between our two countries, in which bilateral collaboration for what concerns space can have a strong symbolic value. We are therefore celebrating a glorious past and the incredible success of Apollo 11, hoping for an even better future in which Italy can be the strategic partner of the United States of America to the Moon and to Mars. Let me add only two words: great America, great United States, and great Italy, together in a very deep friendship for good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Admiral. Thank you for your service. Now it's an honor for me to present to you Giorgio Sarcoccia, who's the president of the Italian Space Agency.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for this invitation. Distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends, I think I should start. Remember that we are here tonight, at least the Italian participants, to celebrate and acknowledge a country that has been capable to demonstrate that human dreams can become truth. I have my own memories of that night. I was 6. I was already affected by the space disease, by the moon disease. Don't ask me why, but I think I was born with space in my mind. And that night I was with my mom in front of the television. I think of course she was interested in that, but she did it for me because I was absolutely taken by what was about to happen. And I got confirmation that I had to try to contribute to the space activities in some way. But as a child, I had the idea that something so unbelievable as putting human steps into another celestial body was something that a human being could do. And I think this has been the most important heritage of what happened 50 years ago. Now, of course, we have a different approach and the way to go back to the moon, and we all are committed to that. Admiral Massaggi mentioned how much Italy would like to be part of that in partnership with our American friends. But again, that I mean, the iconic and symbolic moment that happened that night, I think will remain always in the history. I took up duties on the 2nd of May, not by chance on the 5th, so that was a Friday. Monday, I was in Washington to meet NASA, Department of State, National Space Council, to stress, of course, remark the importance for Italy of the collaboration with the United States of America in the space area, because we believe that all the history of collaboration, which has been already recalled, has to be just the beginning with respect to what we can do together in the future. Admiral Marsali has already recalled the beginning of the Italian space activities, the San Marco project, thanks to the collaboration with the American colleagues. I'd like to recall a few more points of importance. Italy and the United States have signed already more than 36 space agreements, all of which have been marked by success. Just to recall a few of them, which I think really represent a landmark in the history of the exploration of our solar system. You might recall the Cassini-Huygens mission, launched in '97, which have been active for 20 successful years, obtaining Saturn, orbiting Saturn, and making extraordinary discoveries of oceans in Titan and Enceladus. Italy and the US have really had an incredible collaboration on this fantastic mission. And of course, the International Space Station. The International Space Station has been, I think, is a great case of how our country and the United States of America can work together. I'd just like to recall and put some more evidence about how the collaboration took place. We have built a significant part, indeed, of the International Space Station, delivering different modules, pressurized modules for the station, and these have been done either as direct collaboration, direct contribution in bilateral agreement with the United States of America, or through our contribution to the European Space Agency, or lately, and this is very important, what we have built for the space station has opened the way for us, to Italy, to contribute to commercial space activities, because again, in collaboration, industry-to-industry collaboration, we provide today modules that are used to cargo resupply, etc. So, well, I think it's very important that in return of this collaboration, this particular privilege, I would say, collaboration with the United States of America on the International Space Station, in exchange we have got a privileged access for our astronauts to the space station, not only via the participation to the European Space Agency activities, but indirect. We got an open door directly for our astronaut. I mean, you will hear about Roberto Vittori tonight, who was good benefit of one of those opportunities, but we had many other astronauts who could benefit of that. So all this, we see it as an opportunity to prepare the future, so to be part, as it was said already by Carlo Marsali, to be part of the next steps, which is the sustainable, say, exploration, colonization of the moon, and then the preparation for the next steps to Mars. We believe that Italy can immediately contribute to the very short-term goals that President Trump has set for the return to the moon on 2024. We have the technology and the capability to speed up the process in collaboration with our American friends of having the first outpost, the first elements of the gateway, lunar gateway. But then, of course, we want to also take part of the next steps for the more sustainable lunar exploration program. We are convinced about that. Our government, the COMINT, the Italian Space Agency are ready to take all the steps which are needed to contribute to that. and we're just waiting for the opportunity to actually do it. It's great time for space. It's great time to remember that being 50 years ago capable to do something extraordinary like what we will see tonight, I believe in the movie, was not just an episode, but is really the opportunity to open the way to a real colonization, utilization of space. Maybe I should finish with another memory. There was one of our great journalists, Mrs. Serena Fallaci, who had the chance and the privilege to spend a full year with the Apollo astronaut before Apollo 11 was launched. She wrote a beautiful book called If the Sun Dies, and she claimed that she wrote that book to demonstrate to her old father that he was wrong in saying that the moon is a dream for people who have no dreams. Of course, you can imagine that I fully agree with her, and I'm sure that going back to what I said at the beginning, to the contrary, the moon project, the moon success, the moon landing was a demonstration that if human being, whatever is the reason, human being commit to a target, there is nothing that can stop us. And I hope this is just the beginning for something beautiful for our future. Thank you.
And now we have the opportunity to hear from the now famous General Roberto Vittori, who is not only astronaut, but he's also the space attaché at the Italian Embassy in Washington.
Thank you very much for the privilege today to be here, share some thoughts. And I had the honor to fly 3 times in space. The last time, the third time, was on board of the shuttle, and I was Italian astronaut representing NASA. So incredible experience. But now I need the help of Admiral Massagli. Do you have anything that I can borrow from your Ghost Riders? Let me see. So can I open it? Can I read it? Unfortunately, I need the glasses, but I cannot wear it because astronauts are perfect all the time. So that's why my ghostwriters offered to me a speech. I need to make it up. Where is the ambassador? Thank you very much for having me here. Something that I want to underline seems a curiosity, but in reality, in life, you know, sometimes things just happen. We mentioned the 12th of September 1962 when JFK announced at Rice University the moon speech. But we probably don't remember that only 5 days earlier, there was here in Rome, at this embassy, a very important event. Vice President Johnson was here on the 7th of September 1962 to sign the agreement for the San Marco project. So that is another coincidence that is linking together Italy and the US in the space endeavor. Something else that I like to underline is the word mankind. To apologize with everybody in this room for anything that I say that may be perceived to be inappropriate. Because what I want to say is try to focus on something that usually it's not considered. This is probably Buzz Aldrin. Anyone knows who is in that picture? Is Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin? It's probably Buzz Aldrin. Yeah, because it appears that Neil Armstrong never got a real picture. And this picture was taken by Neil Armstrong to Buzz Aldrin. Now, Neil Armstrong, any of you have seen First Man on the Moon, the movie? You've seen it. What is the first image when the movie starts? Anyone? A volunteer? Ammiraglio. He doesn't remember. It was a ship. No, it was flying. It was flying on the X-15. It was flying on the X-15. Any one of you knows what is an X-15? An X-15 is a space plane. Back then, in the 60s, there's been 2 parallel projects. One was aeronautics going into space. The other one was the Russian way, using rockets. At a certain point, president, I hope not to make that president wrong, I won't mention it. At a certain point in 1958 or 9, Eisenhower closed NACA and started NASA. The transition from NACA into NASA made a huge difference. Neil Armstrong was prime actor in the transition. So Neil Armstrong was test pilot on the NACA projects, and the most advanced was the X-15. What is an X-15? An X-15 is an aircraft, look like an aircraft, that is going into space and then can land. Then started NASA with rockets. Now, the miracle could be and will be when those two technologies will merge together. For a long time, I thought this could be impossible. Apparently, it is not. As we speak, there are in the States, United States, some initiatives to build a vehicle that would be able to lift off as a rocket, more powerful than the Saturn V, to then land and be reused. The word reused is key, is a master word. We shall not confuse reusability with the word refurbishable. The shuttle has been a very successful attempt to aim to reusability. In reality, it was refurbishable. What is the difference? A reusable, when we fly from Rome to Washington, the aircraft lands, refuel, and fly again. That is reusable. When the shuttle was landing, it was not capable to refuel and go. It was sent back to California. It was totally reconstructed, basically. So it was a very lengthy and costly process. It was still the same, but all the pieces were each of one controlled and refurbished. So the future of mankind will be, if this ongoing attempt will succeed. I cannot say any name or any other things because I will be impolite. I invite all of you to follow on the internet, because it is very important to celebrate what was 50 years ago. But we shall not forget that we want to be prime actor for the future. We want to build the same future so that 50 years from now, there will be somebody else celebrating from what our generation did. With that, I will leave it to the documentary, and thank you again for having me.
Thank you, General. And now we have the opportunity to speak with NASA spaceflight engineer Mantha Nagaraja. She's not here with us, but she's going to be here with us. There we go.
Great.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to the ambassador and the entire programming for having me tonight while you celebrate looking back at the 50 years since we have landed on the moon. What I'd like to do for you is, as we celebrate the past, to also look forward to the future of space exploration, not only for NASA, but all of us who explore space, including our international partners such as Italia, as well as our commercial partners here in the United States. You have already heard that part of our future is going back to the moon, taking the next humans, including the first woman. And as a woman myself, this is very exciting. And I wasn't alive when we first landed on the moon. So this is particularly invigorating for me to know that our nation, along with our partner nations, will go back to the moon. This is very exciting. The moon is considered to be a stepping stone to getting to Mars when we eventually land humans on Mars. And this is even more exciting. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I often imagine, will she be the first human on Mars? This is an exciting, exciting time for space exploration. And as you know, we've been exploring Mars, an intriguing for scientific discovery, an intriguing planet, for well over 50 years with a robotic presence since 1997. And we're headed back to Mars. While we have 2 currently there, we're headed back with a rover and a helicopter on board for Mars 2020. So that's in our near-term future, which I think is also exciting. We also have the James Webb Space Telescope, which will allow us to see farther than we've ever been able to see with any space telescope that we have. An international partnership as well, putting that space telescope into space, and that's slated right now for 2021. We just recently announced that NASA will fund a mission called Dragonfly. For those who have not heard, Dragonfly will take us to Saturn's largest moon, Titan. It'll launch in 2026 and be there by 2034. A long journey that will allow us to see a moon and a place that we think is rich for scientific discovery. To me, this is exciting. The future of space exploration, while we celebrate the past, is just as bright. We have so many more things to learn, and that's the best part of being in this field. So that begs the thought, if we have so much to do, how are we preparing the next generation of explorers? How are we preparing and inspiring the next generation to want to pursue science and engineering? So some of the unique programs that NASA has are general outreach programs you can learn more about. We're about to lose my lights, so let me try to turn them on again. We have numerous opportunities for the American public, but also some limited opportunities for those who might be in other countries such as Italy. And you can learn more about those at our website, nasa.gov/education. But let me tell you about 2 more unique programs. One is what we call Science Activation, and it's in the NASA Science Mission Directorate, where I now work. And Science Activation is a collaborative partnership where NASA are building a network of networks. So for example, we partner to get NASA science content into the local libraries across our country. But rather than going to each individual library, there's the American Library Association, a community group that already has 5,000 library partners. So what we have done is partnered with them and built a network out of their existing networks, a more efficient way to get NASA science content to patrons of the library, for example. A second unique program at NASA I think will also help instill the inspiration as well as to inspire as well as to build the next generation of scientists and engineers is what we call citizen science programs. NASA partners with these groups who use official NASA data, but they are citizens. They are not professional scientists. They are citizens with an interest in data analysis, with an interest in science, in our planet, of discovering other solar system bodies and life beyond. And they can use science data within a citizen science program and actually publish. To learn something, make discoveries, and to publish. What a wonderful way to teach a young student to get excited about data, to get excited about science and what it means. So that's our citizen science programs. And you can learn more about both Science Activation and our citizen science programs at science.nasa.gov. In all of the discovery and exploration that NASA does, it could not happen, especially in today's world, without international cooperation. It is the cornerstone for NASA and discovery. In fact, it's written right into our Space Act, which gave credence to NASA in 1958. We have had, over the history of NASA, 4,000 agreements over the 60 years with over 100 nations and international organizations. And currently, we have 800 active agreements. Half of those are to 8 partner countries, and Italy is one of them. What an exciting time. We all know, those of us who have ever been on teams, that you can do so much more when you are partnered together than you could ever do individually. And this is more than true in space exploration. So I hope as we celebrate and you look back at the past with the video after this programming and looking at the 50 years since we put humans on the moon, but you will also look forward to the future and the excitement we have in this young generation, bringing them up to be our next generation of explorers. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much for being with us, and I think now we are ready for our film. No, we have questions? Okay. I think you have time to take a couple questions from our audience.
Absolutely,
Okay.
happy to.
Evening. I'm Valeria Cristino and I'm from Fondazione Mondo Digitale with the Coding Girls. So can I ask you if you can tell us something about the NASA Girls and Boys project? And since it is virtual mentoring, can Italian students tell us make questions?
Sure. Good evening, and thank you so much for your question. So NASA Girls and Boys is an online mentoring program. And we, right now it's limited to U.S. American citizen students. However, we have been looking at how we can expand that further. There are other opportunities for Italian students, and I'm happy to get that over to the embassy so that they can distribute it out to the attendees of this programming. But to give you a little bit more information about Girls and Boys, what we do is partner young students anywhere in the world, because we use virtual programs such as Skype or FaceTime or Zoom to connect a mentor at NASA with a student who is looking to spend 5 weeks of their summer with us. They meet once per week on their own schedule, so it's very flexible. It's flexible for the families and the parents to be able to find the time so their child gets this opportunity. And they work through a lesson in science, engineering, math, and then they get to also choose their last week, which was their favorite, and then we provide a different opportunity for them to learn. They don't need to study anything beforehand. They do everything with the mentor that day. For example, during engineering week, our students have built robotic arms using things like rubber bands and construction paper, and that arm has to be able to pick up an empty can of soda, so an empty aluminum can. And so that's kind of an example of what they are able to do.
Okay, another question? No more questions? So, okay.
Qualche altra domanda?
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you with us, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, I was a little early, so now we have our film.